Carlos Alcaraz had just beaten Arthur Rinderknech for the 5th time in 5 meetings. The 6-4, 7-6-5 victory at the Qatar Open was hard-fought but decisive. And then came the moment that revealed something about elite competition, about frustration, and about what it's really like to face someone who just won't let you win. "One time you let me win?" Rinderknech joked after another loss to the world number 1. It was said with a smile, probably with genuine humor after dropping to 0-5 against someone you can never seem to figure out. But Alcaraz's response, calling Rinderknech's game annoying, wasn't just casual trash talk. It revealed the specific kind of challenge that drives champions crazy. Not because they can't handle it, but because it's just uncomfortable enough, just frustrating enough, that winning never feels clean. So he has a really, I'm going to say an annoying game. That's Carlos Alcaraz being honest about what it's like to play Arthur Rinderknech. Not dangerous. Not challenging. Not tricky. Annoying. That's a specific word choice that tells you everything about how this matchup feels for the world number 1. And it came right after Rinderknech's half-joking request. "One time you let me win?" Because Arthur isn't stupid. He knows he's 0-5 against Alcaraz. He knows the pattern isn't changing. So might as well acknowledge it with humor, right? Except Alcaraz's response shows that humor doesn't make the matches any less frustrating for him. Because Rinderknech's 6 feet 5 inches frame creates specific problems that Alcaraz hates dealing with. Not problems that beat him. Just problems that make winning annoying. I think all our matches are always really tight. I'm going to say it's just about the tennis. Every match that I played against him, it was all about the tennis, Alcaraz explained in Dubai after another Rinderknech match. That phrase, "just about the tennis," is interesting, because it suggests these matches don't have the dramatic narratives or emotional swings that other matchups might have. They're just grinding, technical, frustrating tennis matches where Rinderknech's specific skill set makes everything harder than it should be. Do you think some playing styles are just annoying to face? Can you dominate someone 5-0 and still hate playing them? And what does this reveal about the mental game of tennis? Drop your take in the comments, and let's discuss whether being annoying is actually a viable strategy against better players. Subscribe because Alcaraz faces these frustrating opponents regularly, and his reactions reveal how champions really think. Hit that like button if you think annoying is the perfect description. Sometimes winning ugly is more frustrating than losing pretty. The specific qualities that make Rinderknech annoying are worth examining. At 6 feet 5 inches, he's one of the tallest players on tour. That height gives him a huge serve that's difficult to read and return. His serve placement is excellent, which means Alcaraz can't just camp out in one position and wait. But it's not just the serve. It's how Rinderknech uses his height and reach throughout points. He can defend shots that shorter players would let go for winners. His wingspan allows him to cover angles without moving as much as others need to. And his flat hitting style means points are fast and margins for error are tiny. Against most players, Alcaraz's variety and movement would be overwhelming advantages. But against someone as tall and powerful as Rinderknech, some of that advantage disappears. Drop shots that would destroy normal opponents get tracked down by Rinderknech's long strides. Angles that would be winners get reached by his absurd wingspan. So Alcaraz has to work harder for every point. Has to be more precise. Has to execute at a higher level just to win matches that his ranking says should be straightforward. That's annoying. Not in a personal way, but in a professional, this shouldn't be this hard way. The 0-5 head-to-head record is also telling, because Alcaraz wins every time. He's never lost to Rinderknech. Not even close. But the fact that every match is really tight, despite that perfect record, shows that Rinderknech pushes him in ways that don't show up in the final score. This Dubai match went 6-4, 7-6-5. The previous meeting at the US Open went 6-4, 6-3, 6-2. Before that, other matches have been similarly competitive early before Alcaraz pulls away. So Rinderknech is making Alcaraz work, even if he can't actually win. And that work is what makes it annoying, because Alcaraz has to play high-level tennis from the start. He can't coast early and raise his level later. Rinderknech won't let him. The Frenchman comes out aggressive, uses his weapons, and forces Alcaraz to respond immediately. That's smart tennis from Rinderknech. He knows he can't beat Alcaraz in a tactical chess match over 5 sets. His only chance is to be aggressive early, hope Alcaraz is a bit off, and steal sets before the world number 1 figures out the rhythm. But even when that strategy doesn't produce wins, it produces the kind of uncomfortable tennis that Alcaraz clearly doesn't enjoy. Hence, annoying. The "one time you let me win" comment from Rinderknech is also worth unpacking. Because it's said with humor, but there's probably real frustration underneath. Imagine preparing specifically for someone, executing your game plan reasonably well, and still losing every single time. That would be maddening. So Rinderknech making that joke is probably his way of coping with the pattern, acknowledging reality with humor rather than getting bitter about it, and maybe hoping that Alcaraz finds it funny enough to go easy next time. He won't. But the joke also inadvertently highlights something important about elite competition. Nobody lets anyone win. The idea is absurd at this level. These are professionals fighting for rankings points, prize money, and pride. Every match matters. Every point matters. There's no charity in professional tennis. So when Rinderknech jokes about it, he's acknowledging that he knows Alcaraz isn't going to take it easy on him. The joke is funny precisely because everyone knows it's impossible. Alcaraz can't just flip a switch and let someone win. That's not how competition works at the highest level. And Alcaraz's response, calling the game annoying, shows he took the question semi-seriously even if it was meant as a joke. Because yeah, he's not letting anyone win. But also, these matches are genuinely annoying for him even though he always wins them. The broader pattern of Alcaraz calling out specific playing styles is also interesting. He's generally diplomatic about opponents. He praises their strengths. He acknowledges challenges. But occasionally he'll let slip what he really thinks, and annoying is about as honest as it gets. That honesty is actually refreshing, because most players would dance around it with diplomatic cliches. Arthur is a tough competitor with a big serve. It's always a challenge to face someone of his caliber. Blah blah blah. All technically true, but meaningless. Alcaraz just says it. The game is annoying. That's more valuable information for understanding the matchup than any diplomatic praise would be. It tells us that Alcaraz finds specific aspects of Rinderknech's game frustrating even though he wins comfortably. The tactical specifics of why tall players with big serves are annoying for players like Alcaraz are worth exploring. Because it's not intuitive why someone Alcaraz beats easily would be described as annoying rather than easy. The issue is that big serves create unpredictability in ways that baseline rallies don't. When you're in a rally, you can feel the rhythm. You can anticipate patterns. You can set up points strategically. But when someone is hitting aces or unreturnable serves regularly, you're not actually playing tennis. You're just watching balls go by and hoping your return games are enough. That's frustrating for someone like Alcaraz who wants to win through superior tennis, not through hoping opponents' serve percentages drop. He can't control Rinderknech's serve. He can only react to it. And that lack of control over the match flow is what makes it annoying. Additionally, tall players like Rinderknech hit flat, which means balls come through the court fast with minimal spin. That gives Alcaraz less time to set up his shots. Less time to run around forehands. Less time to construct points the way he prefers. So even though Alcaraz wins, he's winning on Rinderknech's terms rather than his own. He's playing reactive tennis instead of proactive tennis. He's managing problems instead of creating them for his opponent. That's not satisfying even when successful. The contrast with how Alcaraz plays against other opponents is stark. Against someone like Sinner or Djokovic, Alcaraz can dictate. He can vary tactics. He can construct points using drop shots and angles. The matches are artistic even when he loses. Against Rinderknech, it's just survival. Minimize damage on return games. Hold serve. Win the crucial points. Nothing pretty about it. Nothing creative. Just grinding through an uncomfortable style until the match is over. That's what annoying really means in this context. Not that Rinderknech is personally obnoxious or plays dirty, but that his style forces Alcaraz to play tennis he doesn't enjoy even though it produces wins. The implications for other players facing Alcaraz are interesting too, Because if being annoying is effective at making him uncomfortable even while losing, maybe more players should try it. Not everyone can be 6 feet 5 inches with a huge serve, but the principle, be aggressive, take away his rhythm, force him to play your game, is universal. Do you think some playing styles are just annoying to face? Can you dominate someone 5-0 and still hate playing them? And what does this reveal about the mental game of tennis? Drop your take in the comments, and let's discuss whether being annoying is actually a viable strategy against better players. Subscribe because Alcaraz faces these frustrating opponents regularly, and his reactions reveal how champions really think. Hit that like button if you think annoying is the perfect description. Sometimes winning ugly is more frustrating than losing pretty. The psychology of repeatedly beating someone while still finding them annoying is fascinating. Because you'd think dominance would breed comfort. After 5 wins in 5 matches, Alcaraz should be thinking, I've got his number, this will be easy. But instead, he's still calling the game annoying. That suggests something about Rinderknech's style that doesn't get easier with familiarity. Maybe it's because each match presents the same problems in slightly different ways. The serve placement varies. The aggressive targets change. So even though Alcaraz knows what's coming in general, he can't predict it specifically. That unpredictability within a predictable framework is maddening. It's like playing against a cheese strategy in a video game. You know it's coming. You know it shouldn't work. You have the skills to beat it. But it's still annoying every single time because it's one-dimensional and requires you to play in ways you don't enjoy. Rinderknech is tennis's cheese strategy. Big serve, flat hitting, use height advantage, hope it works. Simple. Straightforward. Annoying as hell even when it loses. The fact that Alcaraz admitted this publicly is also somewhat surprising. Because you typically don't give opponents psychological ammunition. If Rinderknech knows his game annoying Alcaraz, he might lean into that style even more aggressively next time. Great, I'm getting under his skin even while losing. Let me be extra annoying. But Alcaraz probably doesn't care. Because being annoying doesn't translate to winning. Rinderknech can be as frustrating as he wants. Alcaraz is still going to beat him. The 0-5 record speaks for itself. So acknowledging the annoyance doesn't actually give anything away strategically. If anything, it might add pressure on Rinderknech. Okay, my style annoys the world number 1. But he still beats me every time. So, what's the point? That realization could be deflating rather than motivating. The specific match in Dubai that prompted these comments was also interesting because Alcaraz saved 2 set points in the second set. So, it wasn't just comfortably winning. It was genuinely tight at crucial moments. Rinderknech had opportunities to take the match to a third set and couldn't convert. That's probably extra annoying for Alcaraz. Having to save set points against someone you should beat more easily. Having to play high-level tennis in a tiebreak to close out the match. All of that validates Rinderknech's approach even though it doesn't produce wins. Because the goal of being annoying isn't to win necessarily. It's to make the favorite work harder than they want to create moments of doubt, to force them to play their best tennis to beat you. And by that measure, Rinderknech succeeds even though he always loses. The comparison to other annoying players throughout tennis history is instructive. Gilles Muller was annoying with his lefty serve and volley game. Ivo Karlovic was annoying by serving aces and nothing else. Dustin Brown was annoying with unpredictable drop shots and extreme aggression. All of those players had modest career results overall, but they created memorable moments by being difficult to play against even for the best players in the world. They forced legends to grind through uncomfortable matches. And sometimes they pulled off upsets precisely because their style was so annoying that favorites couldn't get into rhythm. Rinderknech is in that tradition. He might never win a Grand Slam or reach the top 10, but he'll make top players uncomfortable. He'll create tight matches that shouldn't be tight. He'll force champions like Alcaraz to work harder than they want for victories that should come easier. That's a legitimate niche in professional tennis. Be the guy nobody wants to play early in tournaments. Be the first-round opponent that makes seeds sweat. Be annoying enough that even when you lose, people remember how frustrating it was. And Alcaraz saying it publicly validates that Rinderknech is succeeding in that role. Mission accomplished for the Frenchman, even though he's 0-5. The mental energy required to deal with annoying opponents is also significant, because it's not just physical tennis. It's managing frustration, staying patient when you want to force things, accepting that points won't be pretty, grinding through without getting rattled. That mental work is exhausting in different ways than physical tennis. You can be fit enough to play 5 sets, but still struggle with the mental burden of facing annoying styles that frustrate you. And if you're not careful, that frustration leaks into your game and causes unforced errors or tactical mistakes. Alcaraz handles it well, obviously. He's 5-0. But the fact that he calls it annoying shows it requires real effort. He's not coasting through these matches. He's actively managing the frustration and executing despite it rather than because of it. The lesson for Rinderknech is actually somewhat positive. Yes, he's 0-5. But he's making the world number 1 uncomfortable. That's not nothing. That's proof his style has value even though it doesn't produce wins at this level. Against players ranked 20-50, that annoying style might actually produce victories. But against Alcaraz, it just makes him work. And maybe that's enough. Maybe being the guy who makes champions work, even in defeat, is its own achievement. Not everyone can win Grand Slams, but everyone can develop a style that creates problems for opponents. And Rinderknech has clearly done that. The broader question this raises is about stylistic diversity in modern tennis. Because if everyone plays the same baseline-heavy game, matches become predictable. But when you have tall servers, aggressive net rushers, defensive specialists, and everything in between, tennis becomes more interesting even when the favorite wins. Rinderknech contributes to that diversity. His game is different enough from typical baseline tennis that it forces adjustments. And those adjustments, even for players as complete as Alcaraz, are annoying to make in the moment. That's actually healthy for tennis as a spectator sport. Watching Alcaraz struggle, relatively, against Rinderknech is more interesting than watching him cruise past a generic baseliner. The stylistic contrast creates tension and drama even when the outcome is never really in doubt. Do you think some playing styles are just annoying to face? Can you dominate someone 5-0 and still hate playing them? And what does this reveal about the mental game of tennis? Drop your take in the comments, and let's discuss whether being annoying is actually a viable strategy against better players. Subscribe because Alcaraz faces these frustrating opponents regularly, and his reactions reveal how champions really think. Hit that like button if you think annoying is the perfect description. Sometimes winning ugly is more frustrating than losing pretty. The context of this match coming in Alcaraz's first tournament since completing the career Grand Slam adds another layer. He'd just achieved something historic at the Australian Open. The pressure should be off. He should be riding high on confidence. Instead, his first match back is grinding through an annoying opponent who won't make anything easy. That's actually perfect preparation for maintaining world number 1 status. Because the ranking comes with a target on your back. Every opponent prepares specifically for you. Every match is their biggest opportunity. You can't take anyone lightly, or they'll steal sets and create problems. Facing Rinderknech immediately after the Australian Open triumph grounds Alcaraz in reality. Yes, he just won a historic title. But Arthur Rinderknech doesn't care. He's still going to make Alcaraz work for every point. Still going to use his weapons. Still going to be annoying. That's the life of world number 1. You don't get easy matches. You don't get to coast. Everyone brings their best against you, and even when their best isn't good enough, it's still annoying to deal with. Alcaraz's comment that Arthur is a really dangerous player. Nobody wants to play against him in the first round is also revealing, because it shows he understands Rinderknech's reputation. Other players feel the same way. They don't want to face this style early in tournaments. That shared discomfort among the elite validates Rinderknech's approach. If only Alcaraz found it annoying, maybe that would just be a personal thing. But if nobody wants to play him early, that's evidence his style is genuinely problematic for everyone, not just Alcaraz specifically. And there's strategic value in that reputation. Because when you're drawn to face Rinderknech in round 1, you know you're in for a frustrating match even if you win. That psychological weight before the match even starts can affect preparation and mindset. You're dreading the stylistic challenge before stepping on court. That's power in its own way. Not power to win necessarily, but power to make people uncomfortable. To be the name in the draw that makes everyone groan. To be the first-round opponent nobody wants. Rinderknech has achieved that status. And Alcaraz's comments confirm it. So the Frenchman can take solace in knowing that even though he's 0-5 against the world number 1, he's created a reputation as someone who makes life difficult. That's more than most players outside the top 20 can claim. The specific tactical adjustments Alcaraz likely has to make against Rinderknech are also worth considering, because his normal game emphasizes variety, drop shots, angles, and movement. But against a tall serve-and-volleyer, many of those weapons become less effective. Drop shots against someone with Rinderknech's stride length are risky. He can cover ground quickly and turn defense into offense. Angles matter less when opponent wingspan can reach balls that would beat shorter players. Movement advantage diminishes when opponents are hitting flat and fast, giving you less time to set up. So Alcaraz has to adjust his game to be more about power and consistency rather than variety and creativity. He has to match Rinderknech's aggression rather than outthink him tactically. And for a player who thrives on creative shot-making, that's probably frustrating even when successful. It's like being a chess grandmaster who prefers complex tactical battles but having to play simplified endgames because opponent's style forces it. You'll probably win, but it won't be satisfying. It won't showcase what you do best. It'll just be grinding out necessary results in ways that don't feel authentic to your style. That's what Alcaraz means by annoying. Not that he can't handle it, but that handling it requires suppressing what makes him special and instead playing the kind of tennis that Rinderknech's style dictates. Winning on opponents' terms is never as satisfying as imposing your own terms. The physical toll is also different against players like Rinderknech. Because the points are shorter and faster, you're playing more quick-twitch, explosive tennis rather than endurance tennis. Different muscle groups, different energy systems, different recovery demands. Alcaraz is great at both, obviously. But having to switch between these modes match to match probably creates additional fatigue. One match you're grinding 5-hour marathons against Zverev. Next match you're playing short explosive points against Rinderknech. Your body never gets to settle into one rhythm. That variability is part of what makes being world number 1 so hard. You face every style, every challenge, every problem. And you have to solve them all while maintaining energy and focus for potential deep runs in tournaments. The mental and physical juggling is exhausting even when you're winning. So when Alcaraz beats Rinderknech in round 1, it's a win. But it's also a drain. Physical and mental energy spent dealing with an annoying style that could have been conserved if facing a more straightforward baseline opponent. That accumulated drain over a tournament could matter in later rounds. Which is probably why Rinderknech joked about letting him win. Because Arthur understands he's making Alcaraz work even in defeat. Making him expend energy. Making him deal with frustration. Creating small advantages for potential future opponents even though he himself can't capitalize. That's the noble role of the annoying opponent. You sacrifice yourself, but in ways that might help others. You soften up the favorite. You force them to play high-level tennis when they'd rather ease into tournaments. You create small cracks that might become larger problems later. Rinderknech does that job effectively, and Alcaraz's comments acknowledge it. The 0-5 record is what it is. But the fact that Alcaraz still calls it annoying 5 matches later shows Rinderknech's approach hasn't lost effectiveness through familiarity. Do you think some playing styles are just annoying to face? Can you dominate someone 5-0 and still hate playing them? And what does this reveal about the mental game of tennis? Drop your take in the comments, and let's discuss whether being annoying is actually a viable strategy against better players. Subscribe because Alcaraz faces these frustrating opponents regularly, and his reactions reveal how champions really think. Hit that like button if you think annoying is the perfect description. Sometimes winning ugly is more frustrating than losing pretty.